11 AI systems read a long document and were asked about a figure that was never in it. 10 invented one that sounded right. The one that searched the file instead of trusting its memory got all 204 questions correct. Same models, different method, and only one was honest. Which would you trust, the memory or the search?
Let's get into it.
In 1992, a logician in Berlin drew a hard line between whether a thing exists and what you can say about it. This month, a hallucination benchmark drew the very same line and put a number on it. This is the Hamburger Report. I'm Andreas Hamburger, Enterprise Architect, Wellington. A market research firm called iMultiple built a test it named HalluBench and published the result on the 7th of July. 11 AI configurations were each handed a long document and asked over and over whether it reported a particular figure. The figures were invented. They were never in the file. 10 of the 11 produced a number. Anyway, a plausible, confident, wrong number. One answered correctly every single time, across all 204 traps. The difference was not the size of the model, the length of its memory, or its score on any leaderboard. 10 of them read the document. One of them searched it. That single distinction, reading against searching, is the whole finding, and it lands very close to a claim this series has made from its first episode. Start with the test itself, because the design is deliberately uncomfortable. Researchers took 14 real earnings call transcripts, the messy conversational parts, not the tidy summaries, and planted 204 fabricated claims inside questions about them. Each fabricated claim was a metric, a carbon emissions figure, a revenue subsegment, a workforce statistic, each one plausible, each one absent from the document. A model scores full marks only for refusing to report the missing number, produce any value at all, and it scores 0. There was a second access too. Each trap was buried at 3 depths, 1/10, 1/2, and 9/10 of the way through the document to see whether position changed the outcome. Now here's why this failure mode matters more than the dramatic ones. A model that invents an absurd answer is easy to catch. A model that confidently reports a financial metric no one ever measured does not look broken. It looks like a competent analyst. The error is invisible precisely because the writing is fluent. So what actually happened? The 11 configurations split into 2 groups, and they are not 2 settings of the same dial. They are 2 different answers to the question, does this metric exist in this document? 10 of them were passive readers. Each one took the whole document into its context window and answered from memory. Every single one fabricated on some share of the traps. The best of them still invented a figure on roughly 4 of the 204. The 11th was different in kind. It was a model paired with a file search tool. It did not read the document into memory and answer. It searched the file for the metric it was asked about, and when the search came back empty, it reported nothing. That is the mechanism. A reader recalls a plausible value and cannot tell absence from presence. A searcher returns an empty result as a fact about the file. And the quiet surprise across all 10 readers was that where the trap sat in the document made no difference at all. None of this is new to anyone who has read the architecture this series is built on. It is the founding move. Vera, the verified existence and reason architecture, sorts every claim before it checks anything. It splits every claim into 2 kinds. An E-type claim asserts that something is real, an entity exists, an event happened, a quantity was measured at a stated value. An N-type claim follows from premises established. The 2 need different treatment. An existence claim cannot be checked by asking the model that produced it, because that model is the thing on the test. It has to be looked up against an independent record. Every one of the 204 traps is an existence claim, and the honest answer is a lookup, not a memory. That is exactly the gap the framework names, and it is why Vera's existence service returns a flat verdict. The entity exists, does not exist, or is unknown. There is no 73% exists. Next Saturday, this series asks the harder version of the question, in a system of many agents, each checking the others. Who verifies the verifiers? Subscribe so it reaches you. There is a defense and sovereignty layer to this, and it runs along the very same axis. A lethal autonomous weapon that classifies an object as a lawful military target is answering an existence claim. Is this, in the external record, a combatant or a protected person? A system that answers from its learned representation is remembering what such a target tends to look like. A system that checks the claim against an independent reference is looking it up. The United Kingdom Ministry of Defence, in its joint service publication 936 on the governance of autonomous systems, asks for that verification to be demonstrable rather than assumed. The retrieval against recall result gives that requirement a harder edge. A regime that accepts a recalled classification accepts the exact failure mode this benchmark measured, in the one domain where a fabricated positive is not a reporting error, but the use of lethal force. An open, inspectable record is not a feature here. It is the difference between a target confirmed and a target merely remembered. Step back to the ordinary case because the same choice sits under every system that makes claims of fact. Route those claims through memory or route them through a lookup. This benchmark puts a price on the first path. The governance frameworks already assume someone will catch the difference. The European Union's AI Act, in its human oversight article, obliges high-risk systems to let a person detect and address a malfunction. A fabricated metric is exactly that. But if the model underneath is reading passively, and its best case still lets one trap in 50 through, the burden lands on the human overseer. And the Act does not say the system should have searched in the first place. Closer to home, the Office of the Privacy Commissioner found 67% of people concerned about automated decisions, and a figure no one measured sits squarely inside that concern. The Reserve Bank's draft resilience standard asks boards to set a tolerance for AI failure. The sharper question underneath it is whether the failure rate you are tolerating is a property of the method you chose, one a different method would simply remove. So here is the convergence, and it is the finding. A benchmark built to catch fabricated numbers and an architecture built from a 1992 theory of existence arrive at the same instruction from opposite directions. For a claim that something is real, search the record, do not trust the memory. There is a New Zealand thread in this, and it is not nostalgia. For 30 years, I have watched organizations here treat how a system knows something as somebody else's problem, right up until a confident wrong answer reached a decision that mattered. The lesson this benchmark teaches is the one this series has argued from the start. A claim of fact deserves a lookup, not a recall, and the cost of confusing the two is not academic. It is a fabricated number inside a real decision. Which brings the next question, the one this series turns to next. When many agents each run their own search and each reports that the claim checks out whose lookup governs and who verifies the verifiers. When did a machine last hand you an answer it never checked, and what did it cost you to find out?
That is the Hamburger Report for today. If this was useful, subscribe and hit the like button. It helps more professionals find the channel. You will find links to everything we covered in the description below. I am Andreas Hamburger, and I will see you tomorrow.
Like and subscribe.